and welcome back to my channel where we're going over every single spoiler for the upcoming Raging Echoes League. Today is day 13 and let's get right into it. So Jagex today decided to spoil the Combat Relics. Now remember, if you remember the previous leagues, we've had Combat Relics kind of at multiple tiers along the relic choices. This time around, the combats have been pulled away from the relic choices and they're in a Combat Mastery system, which I talked about in a previous video. And now we have only one tier of Combat Relics. I really like this design. So what's happening is, based on what style you want to choose, you're going to have a different mastery tree that you're going to max out. And then now you have like combat style agnostic relics in the relic choices that we're going with. So this time the combat relics are Last Stand, Guardian, and Specialist. These are very familiar to the ones we saw last league. I'm going to go over each one and then give you my analysis on them. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to pick and what I think is the right pick for you. So Last Stand. When you gain the Last Stand ability, if you were to receive damage and your HP would be reduced to 0, you are instead reduced to 1 HP. As soon as that tick happens, you will instantly get a buff that prevents all incoming damage for 16 ticks. So for 16 ticks, your HP will not go to 0. In addition to that, your combat stats are instantly boosted to 255 and they begin draining rapidly back down to their base level. Pretty much what this means is this is your attack strength, defense, range, and magic, and they're going to be super boosted, so you're going to have crazy amounts of damage for the next about 9.6 seconds. And then when this effect ends, all incoming damage that you did take during that time is nullified. Now, what is interesting is all the damage that you took, I don't know if this is going to work with Vengeance and Recoil. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it should still work because you would just, the damage doesn't go to 0, it's just that you absorb that damage in that time. And so I think Vengeance and Recoil will work. We might have to put a comment clarification in the bottom chat box. In addition to that, every bit of damage that you dealt during these 16 ticks, that damage you're going to heal back up. So if we're super powerful, including all of the combat masteries and crazy amounts of damage, you should easily hit at least 99 damage in this time period. And so you're probably going to heal back up to full, which is really nice. And lastly, once this ability is used, it cannot be reused until you die or until 3 minutes have passed. Now, this is interesting. I can see some scenarios where people may want to figure out a way to kind of kill themselves and then respawn back. The 3 minutes passing is interesting because for things like last or total recall this time around, when you want to teleport back, reset to your HP and everything and reinitiate the fight, I don't think that total recall will work. With Last Stand, you're going to have to wait for those 3 minutes to get this ability back if you really want to try to maximize the damage that you can put out with the 255 stats. But that's just something to keep in mind. Overall, I think this is super good utility, and let's go into the analysis. So as I mentioned, 16 ticks comes out to 9.6 seconds. And so during this time, you're taking 0 damage, and instead you're going to be dishing out a ton of damage. Now, what's really cool here is with Jagex, when you have the combat mastery and your 7-tick weapon is reduced down to a 3-tick weapon, this means you're going to get about 5 hits in during this time period, right? 16 ticks, 5 or 3 ticks per hit. So about 5 hits in. It all depends on where your attack animation is in between the hit you take. Now, I haven't done the full DPS. I saw some predictions on Discord that said the damage was about 228. I think the damage before this boost that we saw was 180 or 190, the maximum hit you could get with Jagex. But this is really, really cool. It's shaping up to be a really powerful boost, along with the Guardian gloves that we get from the Echo boss. I think this is going to be absolutely bonkers. If I'm most likely going Mauritania, so I'm definitely going to be trying it. The one downside is at the end, all the damage you dished out, you're going to heal back up. I think that's perfectly fine. I'll treat it as hey, let me get a huge, smash of damage through and then switch into some gear and into some rapid attacking weapons to kind of finish off the boss at the end. One last thing I want to point out is that you will have to repot afterwards. The one nice benefit is if anything did reduce your stats below 99 for whatever reason, certain bosses or certain mechanics, right, that might reduce your combat stats, those stats will go right back to 99, but that does mean at the end you will need to repot up, right? In addition to this, we got some Discord clarifications. So the Preserve player will not slow it down. I think if that was to be the case, we have the Grimoire, which was going to unlock Preserve for us. That would be ultimately boosted. And so I think Jagex saw this early on and just called out that, hey, you're not going to be able to extend this boost for a while, which is fair enough. I mean, 9 seconds of immunity is not something to shy away from. Lastly, any healing during this effect that heals you above will not overheal you. So like I said, you're going to heal back up to 99. You're not going to get overhealed to like 120. And during this time, if you happen to eat a shark or an angler, you're not going to overheal, or that will only apply to anglers or brews in general. Or if you have like a Guthans effect going on, you won't actually overheal. At the end of the effect, you will end up at 99 HP. So just keep that in mind. Probably hold off onto drinking or eating anything during this buff effect, and then just drink it right after at the end. So Guardian, we saw this last league. Nothing has really changed overall. I'll read through the relic really quick, which is when you get this, you're going to get a Guardian Horn. So just make sure you're in a bank so you get the item when you unlock this relic. This will allow you to summon a Guardian Thrall. They last 30 minutes. I think that's a really nice duration. It's a really long time. You don't have to keep summoning it. And once you kind of get into the habit of summoning it, you kind of just remember. I'm sure there's someone has a plugin in Runelight that will give you a reminder saying, hey, your Thrall is not summoned. So it's going to be really nice. It's going to be a really powerful ally. It will attack in multi-combat with an AoE attack if possible. We saw this to be really useful in raids like Tombs of Amasket last league, and so you're going to be able to bring that back and use it there. The Guardian stats have a max or a min hit of 5 and a max hit of 13 with an attack rate of 4. So every 4 ticks, it's going to attack. It's pretty powerful. The AoE clear in Tombs of Amasket was really nice. It can also help with, doing your Slayer tasks and speeding them up. Its accuracy is 45,000, so it's pretty much going to almost guaranteed hit. It just depends on what the rolls are. So overall, this is going to be a really nice, consistent damage boost. The one big thing here I want to call out is this relic will also work inside the gauntlet, and this will not work for PvP. So if you're planning on using this and you're going in the wilderness, just remember you can't use it to either run away from PvPers or use it to kill other players. So we saw this before. What's really important about using it in the gauntlet is it's also confirmed to work with Echo Hunlift, which is awesome. This means you're going to be able to not, be sad about your choice of going the Guardian if you're going Taranwin, and so you can use this there. That should really help up that kill. I think it'll also, with all the Masteries and all of the other relics and everything, all of your kills at Gauntlet should be really, really smooth and awesome. And the Guardian is just, I think, a more multiplier. In addition to this, you can also use Thralls. So if you get the Grimoire and then you can, use that as the Book of the Dead and summon Thralls, now you can kind of, be a little mini summoner in RuneScape, which is kind of fun. It's kind of a niche, unique thing you can't do in the normal game. Overall, I think Guardian is a great utility. I actually chose Guardian last league myself. It kind of helps speed up all of my kills and all of the things I was doing. Overall, it was a really fun relic, and I think most of the players from Trailblazer, 38.3% picked it. This is actually one of the relics I was probably closer to a split between the 3 relics, just because all 3 of them were very powerful and fun to use and had different utility. I think Guardian's going to be fun. If you didn't get to use it last league, this might be the one league to try it out. All right, last up we have Specialist. So when you gain this, all special attacks cost 20%. Even expensive ones like the Zerai crossbow are only 20%, and they have 100% increased accuracy, right? Or 100% accuracy. This means you're guaranteed. This doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to hit. This is 100% increased accuracy. And so this works just like the way the Combat Mastery works. So just keep that in mind that you're very likely to hit. It's kind of interesting that they have the second line, which is for each failed accuracy roll with a special attack, you will gain 10% special attack energy back. This is kind of like Jagex saying, hey, we feel bad that with all this accuracy boost, you still missed on the boss. Here's, a little thing back. Now remember, for weapons, and we got a Discord clarification, for every hit splat, you will get 10% back, so I'll talk about that in a second. And then lastly, whenever you kill an NPC, it restores 15% special attack energy. This is overall really fast and really nice. If you do get the blowpipe, you're going to be able to kind of spec, and not the Drygor blowpipe, because that one doesn't have a special attack, but the classic traditional blowpipe, that one you will be able to kind of just spec monster to monster. Assuming you can, kind of kill it really quickly, you can pretty much get 1 spec off on every monster. And then the healing from range, Combat Mastery will kind of stack with that. So you'll really maintain a lot of HP. I don't really see a lot of use cases in places where you would be speccing multiple monsters. I usually find, special attacks to be really powerful against big bosses, raids, and things like that. So this one is kind of niche, but I think it's overall pretty nice to use in some like Slayer tasks and things like that. If you have any cool ideas, definitely leave a comment below as to where do you think the 15% restore will be really nice. So The 100% accuracy, like I said, stacks with a combat passive mastery. So this means you're very likely to hit, and if you miss, you're going to get a little bit back. In my opinion, I think the special attack like return rate was better, especially because we do have 2 of these 100% increased accuracy bonuses. I feel like the chance to miss will not be too often, and so I don't think you're really going to benefit from that line. So I think the overall like special attack regeneration rate would have been better. That said, you can still get the light bearer, and so don't forget you can use that to stack with this. Your special attacks cost cheaper and you regen it faster. And so maybe they were thinking about that hey, with the light bearer, you already have that faster regeneration rate. So overall, I think that works pretty good. And I think this relic is really kind of region specific. So if you're going as Garnia, you have access to things like the dog sword and the Zerai crossbow, right? The dog sword has the 5 god sword special attacks all stacked into one. It's going to be super powerful. Tons of healing from that special attack, tons of damage because of the AGS, and then therefore you're going to have a huge amount of defense reduction on the bosses. I was really kind of eyeing this and hoping specialists will kind of come back because I was really interested in getting the dog sword. I think that weapon is absolutely super duper powerful. And in addition to that, being able to echo with melee and things like that, it would be really fun. Also, if you're a ranged player, the Zerai crossbow, just getting those ruby bolt procs with the additional bonus is going to be tons of damage early on, just procking like 5 ruby bolt procs back to back to back. That's just going to be super duper powerful. But if you're not picking these regions, don't forget you also have access to the basic, weapons like the Dragon Dagger, Burning Claws, and the Synapsis from Tormented Demons as well, right? There's probably a bunch of other items that might be good and useful, but these are the ones I think that everyone will kind of get. So just keep an eye out for those, and if you're picking this relic, that will be useful for you early on before you get those more powerful weapons later on. There was one Discord clarification, which was any weapon with multi-hit specs should trigger the 10% spec regen if they roll a miss on a hit for each individual hit splat. Now, this is actually really, really good. Remember, I just talked about the Dragon Dagger and Burning Claws. So the Dragon Dagger hits twice and Burning Claws hit 3 times. So if any one of those hit splats misses, you're going to get 10% back. So if the Dragon Dagger misses completely, that means you just immediately get to send back another spec for free. That's really good. Also, if the Burning Claws misses on 2 out of the 3 rolls, you can pretty much just keep spamming those Burning Claw specs. Also, the cost of the Burning Claw specs goes from 30% to 20%, and so that's really nice. So just keep that in mind. I think that is actually really good. If you have access to the actual regular claws, that has 4 hit splats, and that's going to be really good too. So overall, I think Specialist is really good. Just look at your regions and what items you get, and then based off of the items, is the special attack really good? So let's finally talk about, what to pick, right? So one thing we don't know is still the tier for the Combat Relics. Once this is discovered, I assume everything is going to be spoiled at that point, so we'll kind of know. I'm assuming this is going to be a very late game tier because we really want, like we talked about in yesterday's video, where Jagex really wants you to kind of progress, and like the tier 4 passive is when you start killing monsters. So once you start killing monsters, this is really a relic that's really going to boost the top end, like late game to end game content. So I really see this being like a tier 6 or tier 7 relic. But again, that's still to be unknown and figured out. We'll know soon, hopefully, in the next few days. All right, so now pick based on your goals in your region, right? If you are a beginner and you're learning this game, even if you're, an intermediate player, but you're still learning new content, that's actually where I fall in. I have never done Theater of Blood, Araxor, or Zuck, and so I'm planning on picking, Asgarnia, Mauritania, and Fremnik. I'm not sure on the order yet, but I know these will be my regions, and so I definitely will want to pick Last Stand. Last league, I picked Guardian, and I thought it was very helpful because I had done some Tombs of Amasket, and so my choice of picking Guardian last time was to make that kind of kill and that raid a little bit smoother. And I still think that Guardian is like overall a really good utility from that perspective. But if you feel like you're going to make a mistake and you're going to die, I think Last Stand is by far the best support for a learner and a beginner. Right. So that said, I think that's the choice. Guardian, super fun and utility. So if you're a mid-game player and you've kind of done all the content and you just want to practice and get better at the content that you're already doing, and you kind of want to speed up those kills, I think Guardian is the one kind of choice for you. You're going to summon a companion that's going to have a steady stream of damage, right? That Guardian will push, your kills and your raids much faster because of that additional damage, right? And so I think that'll just kind of help you go through the content a lot faster and then therefore get more kills, more drops, things like that, which is really nice. And Specialist, I think if you have the right regions with the really good spec weapons, in my opinion, the Dog Sword is kind of the coolest spec weapon you can get. The Xerac Crossbow is also really, really powerful weapon, but the Dog Sword, man, if you could just hear it bark when you go nuts, that would be really cool. And so I think if you have access to these regions and you are already a skilled player and you just want to like kind of maximize the special attacks. Also, don't forget, we also have Soul and we have the Echo weapon, which is the spear, right? That has a really cool special attack that we can use. So I think overall, based off of your region, if you're a skilled player, Specialist is going to be really, really awesome, especially if you're going Varlamore and Asgarnia. I think those have the two of the coolest weapons overall. Again, thank you all so much for watching and making it to the end. If you found this video helpful, smash the like button. If you want to stay up to date on all of my analysis videos, subscribe. I'm probably going to make at least one recap video as I progress through leagues. I'm also thinking potentially of doing some shorts and just kind of having like a quick short, like, a really good like tidbit or fact or thing that maybe you didn't know. So if you're interested in maybe just watching some shorts once in a while, definitely leave a comment below and let me know that you're interested in like getting, a little bit of bonus teaser or a little update or just a hint or a cool area to do content in, right? Definitely let me know. I might also be streaming on Twitch on League launch, so just if you hit a follow over there and maybe you can catch me soon. Thanks for watching.